Hello everyone, and thanks a lot for joining today again for another episode of Cyber Llama Talks. And today is a little bit weird, non-standard episode. We're not going to talk about evolution of malware and anti-malware. Instead, I'll try to address a very hot topic in industry, how to get into cybersecurity and how to build your career in cybersecurity. I already tried to do it about a year ago. You can find my old video about it. Maybe I'm going to add it into a link right there. However, after learning more about the industry, understanding better different positions and different struggles in different positions and different problems of different career paths, I was continuously thinking of how can you bring that discussion about the cybersecurity career with a little bit slightly different perspective. And I think I finally kind of get it. So today we're going to talk about how to start and develop your cybersecurity career with a focus on your impact on a company, and specifically impact on a company's income statement. I know it's weird, and I'm not a finance guy. However, if someone would explain me 15 years ago how my role at the company impacts company's income statement and what income statement of the company means and how income statement reflects on the success of the company and how my role reflects on the success of the company, I would be more than happy to learn that 15 years ago. So hopefully what we're going to talk today about is going to help some of you to come up with a better idea how you want to build your cybersecurity career, or maybe how you want to shift it or change it, or maybe just rethink and the problems you face at your company. So, but first, before we go into financial statements and see how you impact the company, let's again first kind of get an overview of how does cybersecurity career looks like, because actually I don't think that's clear for a lot of people, and especially a lot of newcomers who comes to the industry. To simplify it though, I usually would split cybersecurity into two major categories. I would call it a security ops, security operations, and R&D, and specifically its product. Why is it important? Because roles, when you choose, either you're going to work in security ops or you want to work in a product R&D, your role and your career path and the way you're going to impact the different companies are going to be completely different. So first of all, when you talk about security operations, what I mean by that, it's usually those, let's put it in color, it's usually a blue team, also can be SOC analyst or detection engineering, right? Usually those might be a part of the blue team. There might be some other categories of the job of the blue team. For example, threat intel analyst or threat research, might be even network detection engineer, and so on, right? It's in general, you're engineering detection and you're responsible for operation of the blue team. Another group would be the red team. I also put pen test here, and I know a lot of people would be like, oh my god, you're mixing it all together. I know that pen testing and the red team is different stories. I know that the red team is trying to emulate adversary while pen test is evaluation. I would just still kind of put it in the same category. It's people who are assessing the actual operational security of the network or of the company. Can include cybersecurity, even physical security, and so on. But it's just a separate category from blue team in my mind. Purple team, I don't have a purple, but it's kind of a mix of some part of the red team and the blue team in the same team to make a defense of the company better. What, kind of unites all these positions, they're in security operation. And what I mean by that, if you pick that side of the cybersecurity, most likely through your career, you're not going to be focused on developing much. Instead, you're going to be operationalizing security, meaning you would use mostly existing tools. If you're advanced enough, at some point you might develop your own for detection, or maybe even for some red team craft to develop your own implants and so on. But in general, you're going to be mostly focusing on using existing security tooling. You're going to be relying on the tools which are available to you to perform your job. Security ops usually exist in kind of two formats. It's either in-house or it's a service. And service can be MSP, MSSP, MDR, and call whatever other service. What it means is if you in-house, you're working for the company you're protecting, or you're working for a company which security you're evaluating, right? You work for, I don't know, meat processing company, and you're developing a cybersecurity defenses for it, or maybe you're assessing cybersecurity defenses for it, that you're working for that company. It's very, very important. We're going to talk about why. The second one is the service. You work on for the service provider. It can be MSSP, managed security service provider. It may be MDR, managed detection and respond. It can be companies like Mandiant, who provides, oh, by the way, I completely forgot here. That would be digital forensic and incident response teams, right? Also can be both in-house and as a service. But those are two types of the job you can get. And it's very, very important where you're working. You might have the same title, but work either in-house on the service, and then that might impact your career drastically. We're going to talk about that. And now we're switching to R&D. And here we have a classic antivirus, EDR. Now you can also develop SIEM, SOAR solutions. You might develop security platform, which kind of includes antivirus, EDR, SOAR, MDR, network detection response, and then XDR. What else? You can develop some network scanners, firewalls, IDS, IDPS. You can see like all of those are security products. Like that's, you know, every year you hear new, a lot of abbreviations. The whole idea is you're working here for the vendor, like a security vendor who builds that product. And that's a very different type of the job. If the first security operations really focused on operation, so you're trying to protect a company, again, your job is not to develop any cool new tooling or new product. You're really just defending a company day to day, week to week, year to year. So most of your skills are IP ops skill, right? And what does it mean? For example, if you have a question, oh, do I need certification for cybersecurity? That's a valid question. And depending where you're going and how you're going to build your career, you might or might not need it. For example, for SecOps, I clearly see how certification, because certification proves that you're able to perform certain duties for security operations. It can clearly prove, oh, you can be part of SOC analyst, you can do detection engineering, you understand threat intelligence. Like in SecOps, in my opinion, certification matters because you don't really develop tools, you're using existing tools, and certification just shows how effective you are in using them and performing and understanding the job of security operations. And you don't think about it in terms of tools, you're thinking about security operation processes, but you're also capable of applying tools for that. While when you work on R&D side, and for example, developing antivirus and EDR, or you're developing NDR, like no one cares, in my experience, no one cares about certifications. Here, people would much more prefer that you're able to write code. Like if you go to R&D, even if you go as a threat researcher, threat analyst, reverse engineer, and you know how to write code, you immediately have much bigger impact because the goal of the company is R&D, research and developer. So if you're just a researcher, you just are. You might not develop a production code, but knowing how to develop code is extremely important in R&D company. I hope that's kind of clear, this separation, right? And probably a year ago, I would just stop here. I would say, hey, it's security ops, it's R&D, do certification if you do security ops, do R&D, learn programming besides the security if you want to work on a security vendor and develop something, because that's going to tremendously help to advance your career. But today I want to talk a little bit different. I want to look at those jobs from a financial perspective, and specifically how your position in the company is going to impact financial perspective of the company.